Hello, it's Panzer Fist Miniatures here. I've had a few people get in touch on Instagram just to ask about how to paint these German miniatures from Victrix, these German Panzer Grenadiers, if you like. I've trialled a new method with these just to do a really quick job, and I've got them down to about 25 minutes per miniature. Excluding base time, but that's only like a couple more minutes, so they're a really quick way of getting your miniatures on the table. And it's something I've been guilty of in the past, just taking too long on miniatures that really you don't appreciate. And they look good under a camera, but when you get them on the table, sometimes they even blend in and they don't look as good as something with like stark highlights. And yeah, it's just something I thought I'd try, and I was surprised myself actually how quickly I could get them done. So here's one I did last night. You're going for like that kind of finish, so pretty rough and ready, but perfectly serviceable with a nice base. Looks great. MG team, same standard. Yeah, looks good. Yeah, that took about an hour and 20 minutes all in. So I've just done another one. He took about 25 minutes. He's got a wash on there. He's just drying, so he'll be ready to base shortly. So bear with me, everybody. This is my very first video, and it's never been really something I've wanted to do or felt the need to do. But just in this instance, with people asking and suggesting, I just thought I'd give it a go. So again, apologies for the waffle. I've not got a script. I just thought I'd give it a go. Let's get it on YouTube, and it'll probably be the last thing I ever do, but there you go. So first things first, I'll quickly run through, I'll tell you what, I'll run through the colours as I go. So the first colour is his Zeltbahn, and that's going to be World War II German camo beige from Vallejo. So it's going straight on the wet palette, just a little blob of this, no thinning. We're just going to whack this on, and I probably won't paint this miniature as quickly as I normally do because it's in front of a camera, and also I'll be trying to concentrate on what I say is probably as much as I'm painting. So again, just forgive me, I'm not experienced in these matters, and if I go off camera with the paintbrush at all, again, sorry. Let's give it a go. So big thick blob on your paintbrush, no thinning. I don't normally paint like this, to be fair. This just seems to work for these, and we're just gonna whack it on there. It's got a chocolate brown prime. It's the Colour Forge Hydrax brown or something or other it's called. It's just a nice rich chocolate brown, bit similar to Vallejo German camo dark brown. And I find it's just a good base colour to give you some like shadow areas and sort of deep recess points. But yeah, just putting this on thick, it's going to look pretty ropey for a little while. But try and sort of leave some outline areas or some dark areas, and not too much. I don't want it to look too contrasty, but I'm kind of like almost with the thickness of the paint just kind of overbrushing it in parts, and because these miniatures are so detailed in their folds and creases and what have you, they do tend to naturally leave some sort of nice shadow areas. So I'm not going to edit this video. I'm just going to whack it on as it is, whatever it comes out at. So it might be an hour long, I'm not sure. I'd like to think I'll be able to get this painted in decent time. Maybe something like 40 minutes or something like that. But we'll see, won't we? It's all a learning situation here. So just forming the outline of the Zeltbahn. I found this is probably the best colour I've tried. I've tried a different couple of AK colours for Splinter camo base. I've tried a few different beiges and khakis and what have you, but I quite like this one. It seems to go nice with the greens and the browns that I use. I might decide to shut up at some point in this video. Just I don't want to be saying things for the sake of saying things. So again, if that is the case, then I've not forgotten about you. I'm just gonna mention something when it's relevant. The good thing about painting this style is that you don't really have to do multiple coats, because you're putting the paint on that thick. Right, it's just gonna go on. Yeah, and sorry if the miniature goes off shot. Again, I'm not used to painting under the camera. There's some people out on YouTube that do it effortlessly, and you know, more credit to them. Painting a miniature can be hard enough, let alone trying to think where you're holding it for the camera and whatnot. I must say, I do like these Victrix miniatures. I think they've got some nice poses, and the detail is very good, although it's quite fine detail, so painting them in this style kind of gets you away from trying to be too precise on those really fine details. I know with a lot of the Warlord miniatures, they're a bit more caricature-y, and they seem to be probably a bit more beginner friendly to paint in that sense. But I've got a feeling I'm going to start painting things like this a bit more often, to be honest, because you just get them painted so quickly, and I'm as guilty as anybody of getting sort of really excited about a new project, buying all the miniatures, you know, really enjoying those first few sessions, and then lo and behold, when you're maybe like, I don't know, a couple of units in, and something else catches your eye, or you just do something for a palette cleanser, and then boom, before you know it, you want to paint something else, and you've not got half the army painted even, and it just goes into a big pile of shame. I started these at the weekend. I've got the MG team finished and 5 infantry guys, so I've got a day job, a couple of young kids, so time is at a premium. So again, must say I've got an understanding wife as well, so she does let me come in the garage and lose myself to this kind of thing on a very regular basis, so I'm not complaining in that sense. But everybody's time limited to a certain degree, and again, just painting like this, it just allows you to get sort of full armies done much quicker than usual. I'm hoping with a couple of sessions there this week on the evening, and then a good session on Saturday, and then a bit of a Sunday night session after we've had a family day. Then I'd like to think that this platoon will be fully complete. And I'm probably going to sell it, to be fair, so if anybody wants this this platoon of Victrix German Grenadiers, then let me know, and I'll we can maybe figure something out. But it's so there you go, that's the Zeltbahn done. Looks pretty rough for now. Figure fill that bit in there. We're going over with with some camo colours later, so again, don't worry too much about getting every last bit. You know, some of those darker areas can form sort of nice shapes, sort of just frames the shape of the Zeltbahn. So the next colour is going to be Panzer Aces Dark Mud. Now I'm using this as the base colour for the uniform areas, and I've stolen this from Panzerschule, who's a brilliant painter. I think he's one of my favourites on YouTube. Scottish fella, does a lot of Flames of War, but his 28mm bolt action stuff is it's top class, and I really like his paint style. But he uses a lot of he uses a layering technique, so sort of traditional technique, if you like, where he uses a darker colour and he layers up in lighter colours, and those darker base colours form his shadow colours. Bit similar to how I'm painting this miniature, but I'm painting much more rough ride, and not to the standard he's painting it. I probably could have a good effort at that if I put the time and effort into it. I'm not saying I'm as good a painter as Panzerschule, I'm definitely not, but that style is a style that works for me, and it's a style I've kind of like used in the past, where I painted some SS a couple of years ago where I did it in that style, and they kind of worked out quite nicely. But it's this recipe for the German field grey is what he uses, and I tried it and I thought, yeah, I like that. That's a good tone of field grey. I do enjoy painting field grey, to be fair. I find it a relatively easy colour to paint. It's funny, isn't it, how some colours are just easier to paint than others. I find blue's quite easy to paint, and then there's certain colours which are just a pain in the backside. But yeah, again, very rough with these base tones. Don't be afraid to leave some dark areas underneath in natural low points and creases. It all kind of just adds to the character in a way, and that's the beauty of painting sort of this rough style. It's like you don't have to be neat, you can be just quick, you can be a bit. But I don't like the overused term, but a bit slap chop with it, just rough ready, get it on there, don't think about it too much. And I think that's the key to this technique. Just don't think about where you put in the brush, just let it kind of do its thing in a way. I found I'm quite a neat painter, but I'm not very brave when it comes to highlights, and I think a lot of my miniatures suffer with just being a bit drab a lot of the time, because you're painting these muted colours, these military tones, at this scale as well, and they can just sort of fade away at arm's distance, at the sort of 3 foot rule, if you like, the wargaming distance. And like I said before, they'll look great under the close-up photograph, but then actually when you get them on the table, they don't look that special at all. I think the recent US Airborne that I painted suffered from that. Looked really nice on the pictures, but then when I took them to an event, with not the greatest lighting, they just didn't look as nice as some of the figures that other people had on the table, and that's fine. It's not got a big problem with that, but sunk a lot of hours into those, and maybe thought, maybe I should be just a bit braver with my choice of highlights, just to make them pop a bit more. And that's kind of what prompted me to try this sort of this method. And again, they're not going to be the brightest miniatures, but they definitely stand out, I would say. The green I've used for the Zeltbahn camo is quite a bright green. It does pop a little bit. So there you go, that's the dark mud as the base for the German field grey. Right, next up we have got the US olive drab. Where are we here? US olive drab. So nice colour this. I use it for the bread bag normally, and the ankle gaiters, the little gas mask cover that's wrapped around the gas mask can a lot of the time. And it's similar to the dark mud actually, but it's just got a little bit more of a browner tone rather than the greeny tone. So again, just slap this on, don't worry about it too much. All this is a rough paint job. Do try and not go over things that aren't meant to be this colour if you can help it. Just saves you on tidying up time. Again, when you're trying to paint miniatures fast, you want to try and do them as fast as possible, so Still try and be neat if you can, and it just saves you having to go in and tidy up. And I've just noticed a spot of uniform that I've missed, just his arm in this corner here. It's probably just too large an area of brown. It probably would have blended away with the washes and subsequent layers, but it doesn't take a minute to pop a bit of undiluted paint on there. Right, gaiters, and then we're on to our next colour. This is the other thing with this technique, it's like the longest two steps, so the first two steps really, the the Zelt band and the uniform cover most of the model. So once you get them down, you're halfway there. Right, so yeah, the gaiters just nice and rough. Don't worry about leaving a bit of brown at the edges. Again, it just kind of offers a bit of contrast. And we're gonna put a wash on at the end, just an all over wash, just to try and blend everything together. And I think it kind of works, to be fair. Right, next colour is going to be Boot Brown by Army Painter Historical. I'm a big fan of the new Army Painter paints, especially the historicals. I think they're really nice consistency paints. I think they go on the model very well. I really like them. They're not quite as matte as some of the Vallejo or AK colours, so they do pop, and I think that's a deliberate decision by Army Painter, I would say. Majority they're aimed very much at war gamers rather than scale modelers or painters who do it for the painting as such. But that's my take on it anyway. It's probably not completely true, but just so this goes on the boots. Again, do make sure you leave some of that dark brown showing. Leather boots will all be uniform in the same shade of brown. There'll be creases and worn bit areas. And the other thing I use this colour for is the entrenching tool handle. So just run a line down there, a bit of a dot on the end. Getting down that side. Job's a good one. Right. We've got Leather Brown by Model Colour Vallejo. The only thing I tend to use this for are any helmet straps or rifle straps. As far as I'm aware, the Germans predominantly or exclusively, even up right into the end of the war, used leather on their gun straps, which is a bit of a madness given their supply issues and the fact that we're putting kids and old guys in paper uniforms by the end of the war. They still managed to get some leather for the gun straps, so fair play to them in that regard, I guess. The US, on the other hand, started the wars, again as far as I'm aware, with leather straps, but then transitioned to canvas straps because I'm assuming it was cheaper and quicker. So it's a bit of an interesting factoid for you there. I watch a lot of reenactors videos on YouTube. Actually, it's a good source of uniform info. You see, I've just noticed there's a little strap on the front of his helmet, so I'm going to do that in leather brown as well. But it's not going to be much more other than that. Okay, so that's the straps done. We're going to do Model Colour German Camo Dark Green now. This is going to be the base colour for the gas mask can, or quite often do the mess tin in this colour as well, or sometimes do that just in black or a metallic colour. There are all sorts of colours. Just a little blob on the end. I do highlight this colour later on, just because it's such a dark green. I find just a little dash of bright green on it just really helps it pop. This guy only appears to have the gas mask can, so it should just be him. I think some people use this for the helmets as well, but my understanding is that towards the end of the war they were starting to go to a grey for the helmets, which is what I'm using here, Army Painter Historical Dark Olive. This came in the US set, this one, and it's just a sort of browny grey, dark grey, and kind of works quite nice for the helmets. So over the chocolate brown, and once it's had the sort of wash over it, which makes it a little less grey looking, kind of like works as a sort of late war German helmet. You don't have to worry about this colour being too solid. You can, if you're running out of paint on your brush, you sort of almost dry brush it over a bit, give it a bit of a scratchy look. These helmets got dinged about. I suspect they probably were in great condition by the end of the war, or even in 1944, which is, I guess, what this chap is dated to be. But then again, they're pretty generic, so you could say they're at Eastern Front, or possibly even Germany in 45. But that's that. So next colour is gonna be, where have I put it? This is where you can see I'm not an experienced YouTuber. Haha. Rifle brown. Army Painter Rifle brown. Great colour, this. It's a very rich red, reddy brown. And this is going on the it's going to go on, first of all, on the little outer lever area of his entrenching tool case. I've seen these as a reddy brown. It might not be 100% historically accurate, but I find it just makes a nice contrast, because when you've got all this German equipment, and they're a pain in the backside for equipment that the Germans, they had all sorts with them, and a lot of it is leather, so you want to try and, I like to try and mix it up, change some of these browns up. He's got brown boots, he's got leather boots, he's got leather entrenching tool, he's got a lot of wood on there as well. I find by just mixing them up, it gives you a little bit of visual interest. And then the other thing is the rifle, so it's a good colour for guns, this, and again, just filling in the gaps, not being too careful, but trying to not get the metal areas, because they're just going to get a coat of gunmetal over them. And that bit under there was wood, I believe. What are we on time-wise? We're on 23 minutes, so it is going to take me a little bit longer than usual, this, but I've been waffling. I've been trying to think on my feet, and also holding the miniature in a way that you can see it most of the time. I'm not really looking at the camera much also. I might watch this back and think, Christ, I'm not going to be able to see a thing, but I guess seeing the odd bit and me sort of talking you through it is better than me just putting a descriptive response on Instagram to people, which is how I normally just respond. And when you think about it, actually, if I respond to, I don't know, 5 or 6 people, say, "Oh, get in touch, say, oh, what colours did you use? How did you do that?" Probably taken me as long to do that as it is to painted this miniature up. So that was another reason why I thought, bollocks to it, I'll just do a demo. I'll just do a visual demo, and if it helps one person, then brilliant. I know I've learnt my paint techniques from various different YouTubers, just trying different methods for myself. Some worked, some didn't. I'm going from there. Right, highlight colour for the gas mask, black green. This is a very rich colour, very deep, emeraldy, rich green. I think together with the German dark camo black green, whatever it's called, I think it just goes really nice. And again, just a couple of dots here and there. You don't want to do it all in this colour. It just really sets off that really dark colour and just pops a little bit. You're not really going to notice it. It's just one of them things. It takes 10 seconds to do, so why not do it? The next colour is Leather Brown by Army Painter, if I can find it. There we go. This is one of the historical Fanatic ones. I don't actually like using it for a leather colour. Don't think it looks very leathery personally. I think the Vallejo one's better for that, but it is a nice brown all the same. And I tend to use it for on these I've been using it actually for the water bottle, the canteen. Yeah, I just use it for that. You know, any sort of tan colour. They did come in darker colours as well. But yeah, it's just these are a couple of splodges on there. Using the dark prime colour, you it's done half the work for you. You know, the straps in this case will just get a bit of a highlight of black, but you know, the skin, going through the skin shortly, but you know, it's such an easy way of doing it because half of the shadows, they're just in there for you already. Alright, so we'll do the I'll tell you what, we'll do the splotches next. So we've got two colours. So we've got Panzer Aces splotches, Splinter splotches 2, that's the brown, and Splinter splotches 1, which is the green. So I find Splinter pattern much easier to paint than the swamp pattern. This was the swamp pattern guy I did the other day. I just found him a nightmare. I'd already had to go at some different colours, and that one just yeah, I wasn't happy with that one. I think it just didn't look quite right, but yeah, this one's not too bad, especially when they've got Zelt bands, because I find the way it's sort of it's done in like areas, you know, it's like compartmentalised, if that's the right word. I find it's some natural breakpoints there for you just to use. So did I put some? There we go. Yeah, so jaggedy lines, you know, there's people who can paint this a lot better than I can, and again, I'm not giving it too much thought. We're just going to paint some shapes on there. Yeah, again, Panzer Shield does a great effort on this. I'm not going to talk too much because I'm going to distract myself from painting the camo, but yeah, just don't worry about it too much. Just try and don't follow too many patterns. Don't worry about doing some bigger areas. Try and keep the original tan colour the majority if you can, because there's also green to go on here as well, but try and do bits here and there. Most of the time it turns out alright. Every now and then you just mess it up by either doing too much or overcompensating on one area or thinking about it too much, and it sort of almost being symmetrical, and that's what you want to avoid. But it's I'm not very good at painting camouflage, I must admit. I do struggle with it, like most people probably do, but yeah, painting British or Americans is a blessing when it comes to camo, because other than the Denison smocks, you know, you don't have to really think about it too much. I know the Americans had the Marines who had camo, and I find that pattern hard to do as well. But something a bit like this, I don't know. It always seems to look alright once the wash is down and the green's on, and you know, it's a couple of feet away. And then with the green, I tend to try and just sort of fill in little nooks. So if there's like say if there's like a little bit, well, large open spaces, but also if there's like a little bit where it comes around, I try and just fill in the middle bit like that with a bit of green, just to sort of make it look. So it's the dab of green there. Again, not thinking it too much. You want probably slightly more brown than green. You don't want too much of this because it is such a bright colour. It'll soon overpower if you do too much. Try and kiss the brown areas as well. It seems to be that it was often like in a pocket of brown or skirting across like some existing brown. From what I can see, it wasn't really a colour that was just blobbed on its own, but again, I'm not an expert on Zaltban, splinter patterns, etc. That kind of thing, really. Try and do at least one bit of green in each bit, just to try and keep it. So we'll do a bit there as well, just to. So maybe a little bit on the shoulder, just to, there's not much camo on that colour there. Yeah, that'll do. I think don't want to overdo it. I'll tell you what, one more last tiny bit here because there's quite a bit. That'll do. Anyway, that's the camo done. So he's starting to look like a grenadier, German grenadier now. I haven't got that much far to go. What am I on now? 32 minutes. So yeah, it has taken me longer. But like I say, these aren't my normal painting conditions. The next colour is going to be green grey. Again, stolen this from Panzerschule. It's part of his recipe he uses for his field grey, and again, it's quite a bit brighter than what I normally use for a field grey, but I think it kind of works. So I just splodge some rough layers on there. Quite often start with an ease and just almost overbrush it. Let the detail sort of guide you where the paint needs to go. Don't be afraid to leave some of that dark mud, because they do kind of blend together quite nicely once the wash goes down. It's going to look pretty stark to start with, but it does dry lighter than it looks, which is true for a lot of acrylic colours actually. And it's another reason why I think in the past my tones have looked a little bit muted, because they've looked just about right going down, and then 20 minutes later when the miniature's dried, you look at it again, you think, oh, it's a lot darker than it looked when I was putting it down. But that's half of the fun in it, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. And some paints dry darker than others. Some paints just seem to go on better than others, and it's finding what works. So that's pretty much his trousers done, I would say. It's pretty rough, but we'll blend it all together at the end. Arms. You see a bit of this body here. Can't really see his collars on this particular miniature, but some of these you can, and I tend to just do a bit of a dab on there. Don't worry about doing kind of like the deepest crevices. his armpit and that kind of thing, maybe under his arm. Maybe not so much on this one because he is holding his elbow quite high, but let's just do it. Yeah, there's a tiny bit under there you can see. I'm just probably going to leave that bit, you'll not see it. Let's do it back of his probably could have done with doing that in the base colour first, but I missed it. Again, for these kind of jobs, I won't worry about it too much. We're just trying to get these done, and I think, you know, I'm already quite happy with the ones that I've done, what they look like, but I think when you get them all together, they're going to look pretty good, especially with the base ready rubble that I've gone with on these, which was just for convenience as much as anything. I was going to do them in Normandy sort of style, but I wanted to try out this base ready stuff, and I was very impressed with its quality, to be fair. It's probably I'd say it's probably the best base ready material I've used. I've used some of the Geek Gaming ones, and although they're decent, they kind of looked like base ready, if you know what I mean, whereas these look like they've been done by hand. Next colour was just matte black, any black really. I just had this one to hand, and I've got a couple of bottles of them, so I'm trying to get them used. Just you doing a bit of a highlight on the straps, not doing it all of it. Just really rough layering up of the straps. Belts, that kind of thing. Yep, that's that. So almost finished the layering. Use war paint still for the gun. Again, I'd probably do a slightly different technique for the blued metal on submachine guns and rifle steel and what have you, but I'm just getting these done quick. They're going to be bright, they're going to pop, and just try not to go too mental with this because it is a very bright silver, but just hitting those gun areas. Just the wash will subdue some of this, but still, we want people to see that this is clearly a rifle at distance. What's that? Oh, sorry, his belt got me tuss, or whatever it was. Put him a bit of a... You'll probably never notice that, but it's there. Right, so that's almost there. Skin next, and this is a tried and trusted recipe, just done slightly different to usual. So this is my go-to skin route method, and they're all AK paints, and you can do this as neat or as quickly as you want, and I'm going to go for the quick method. I've used this method before, doing very thin down layers, and it looks great, but it takes forever. This we're just going to carry on in the same style of what we've been doing. Just thick blob of this dark rust, aka dark rust. Just doing his hands. Don't worry about getting every last bit, we just want to get the main bits. You can't really see this guy's face because he's got his rifle up there, but just blobbing it on. Get his hand there. Yeah, that's pretty much, maybe a couple of them fingers just there. Yeah, that'll do, I think. Maybe a couple of them fingers just on the end. Right. Okay, so that's AK 1107 Dark Rust. Base flesh next. It's just a more fleshy brown, I guess. Works nice with this dark rust. And we'll go just again, just just dabbing it on, just doing a little bit less of the area. You don't want to. You want to leave some of that dark rust beneath it in the deepest parts. Skim his nose, some cheeks there. Thumb. Some of these fingers. That's that. Next up, we've got light flesh, and again, just even less this time, keeping some of that base flesh. So end of his nose, cheeks. You can just see his nose on this side, so I'm just probably drop on that because I don't quite look right in dark brown, but there we go. And then the last colour is highlight flesh, so it's a very bright colour. This don't use too much of it. I just tend to put the classic dot on the end of his nose, maybe a couple of little lines under his cheekbones. It kind of works, I think. Just a bit of a dot on the nose, just a line under his cheek. And just there's top there. Again, it should darken down a bit with a wash, and when it dries it should be a little bit. It's quite a bright highlight though, so I'm not quite happy with that, so I'm probably just gonna go back over with the light flesh. I think I'll probably just put a little bit too much on that. Subdue that slightly, that's better. Right, and then the last colour before the wash is going to be Army Painter Fanatic Canvas Historical. I'm just going to give the base a dry brush, and this will probably not necessary, but it just means that if there's any areas beneath the base that the base ready hasn't shone through from, then you know it won't look too weird. It'll look a bit dusty, stony kind of thing. So it's a dead quick dry brush of this. It's quite a nice colour for sort of neutral, anything neutral, groundy, earthy, as a highlight. Just dead quick. And then we're going to wash him with good old Sonic Tonic, marine juice, I think he also calls it. But this is you get this from Sonic. The recipe from Sonic Sledgehammer is a very good YouTuber, one of my favourites, especially when I started. He's a great for when you're learning, and he's great painting his own right as well. Does all sorts, but yeah, just all over, slap it on. You put it on quite thick to start with. We're going to make sure it don't pool afterwards, but just get this stuff slopped on. The good thing with this wash is it doesn't seem to stain an awful lot. It's a mixture of a few different things: medium, strong tone, dark tone, I forget what it is, but it's sort of a good one-stop shop wash, and like Agrax Earthshade, it doesn't really stain your miniature too much. Works really nicely. I've used it on all sorts of, when you're doing a rough ride job like this, this wash just sort of ties everything nicely together, hides mistakes, and just works a treat really. See, I've got a little bit of pooling in that rifle, so just get that out with the old dry brush, just let the capillary action take it away. And that's pretty much your guy there. Obviously he needs a bit of drying time, so probably 30-40 minutes and he'll be touch dry and we can do the base. So I'll stop the video and give you a quick video once he's done.